There's a voice in your head that whispers it to you over and over again. You're falling behind. You're too late. You should have been more by now. You should have done more by now. And you believe it, don't you? You look around and see people moving faster than you, achieving more than you, living a life that seems so far from where you are. And it feels like you're stuck. Like you're trapped in place while the rest of the world rushes past you, leaving you behind in a blur of lost chances and missed opportunities. And it hurts, because you had plans, you had dreams. You told yourself that by this age, by this time, by this moment, you would have figured it all out. You would have the answers. You would have the life you always imagined. But here you are, still searching, still trying, still wondering if you'll ever catch up. And it's exhausting, isn't it? The pressure, the weight of it all, the never-ending feeling that you are always running out of time. But listen to me. You are not behind. You are not late. You are not a failure just because your path looks different from someone else's. You are on your own timeline. And nothing's wasted. Not the moments of doubt. Not the seasons of waiting. Not the times you had to start over. Even when it feels like nothing is happening, something is. Growth isn't always loud. Change isn't always visible. But it's there. You are learning. You are becoming. And just because it's taking longer than you thought doesn't mean you're lost. There is no single way to live a life. Some people move fast, reaching milestones early, collecting achievements like trophies on a shelf. Others take their time, wandering, exploring, figuring out who they are before they decide where they're going. Both are okay. Both are worthy. And you exactly where you are right nowhere enough. But I know it's hard to believe that when the world makes you feel like you should be moving faster, that if you don't have it all figured out by a certain age, you've already failed. That if you haven't reached the dream, the career, the success, the love, the life by now, then maybe you never will. But that's a lie. Life is not a race. You are not in competition with anyone. There is no deadline for your happiness. There is no expiration date on your dreams. And time is not slipping away from you. It is unfolding for you. Every second, every minute, every day bringing you closer to something you can't see yet. Something you might not even be able to imagine yet. But it's coming. So please stop rushing. Stop punishing yourself for being human. Stop believing the lie that you should have been more by now. Because you are already becoming, and you are exactly where you are meant to be. But I know it's hard to trust this when the world tells you otherwise. When you see others hitting milestones, building their lives, reaching their goals, and you wonder why not me? Why am I still here, stuck, waiting? But let me ask you something. Who decided the timeline you're measuring yourself against? Who told you that you had to have it all figured out by now? That by this age, you should be successful? That by this time, you should have the perfect job, the perfect life, the perfect version of yourself? Who made these rules? Because here's the truth. There is no rule book for life. There is no single path. No correct order, no universal deadline, and yet, we trap ourselves in these invisible expectations. We tell ourselves that if we don't achieve certain things by a certain time, we are somehow behind. But behind who? Behind what? Life is not a straight road. It is not a checklist. It is not something you can control with deadlines and schedules. It is messy, unpredictable, full of twists and turns you never saw coming. And sometimes, the things you think are setbacks are actually stepping stones. Sometimes, the detours are leading you to places better than what you had planned. But you won't see that if you're too busy thinking you failed. You won't see the beauty of your own journey if you're too focused on comparing it to someone else's. Because comparison will steal everything from you. It will make you believe that your progress is not enough. It will make you feel small in the face of someone else's success. It will convince you that you are losing a race that doesn't even exist. But you are not in competition with anyone. Your story is yours. Your pace is yours. And the time you take to figure things out is not wasted time, it is growing time. Because here's something no one tells you. Some of the strongest, most successful people you admire, they had years of struggle before anyone knew their name. They had moments where they doubted everything. They had nights where they cried, wondering if they were good enough, wondering if they were running out of time. But they weren't, and neither are you. You are not too late. You are not falling behind. You are exactly where you need to be. And I know that's hard to believe when you feel stuck. I know it's hard to trust when things aren't happening as fast as you'd like. But take a breath. Step back. Look at how far you've come. Look at the person you are today compared to the person you were years ago. You have grown. You have learned. You have survived things you once thought you wouldn't. And that means something. It means you are not standing still. It means you are not failing. It means you are becoming. And becoming takes time. So don't rush yourself. Don't let the world trick you into believing that your timeline is wrong just because it's different. Because life is not about getting there the fastest. It's about getting there whole. And trust me, you will get there. Maybe not today. Maybe not tomorrow, but you will. And when you do, you'll look back at this moment, the moment where you doubted yourself, the moment where you felt lost, and you'll realize something. You were never lost. You were simply on your way. So take your time. Breathe. You are not running out of time. Time is working with you, not against you. And your story is still being written. So trust it. Trust yourself. Because one day, you'll look back and understand why things happened the way they did. One day, you'll see that everything was unfolding exactly as it was meant to. And when that day comes, you'll be grateful that you didn't give up. Because you were never late. You were always right on time. Let's take this deeper. I want you to imagine something. Imagine that every difficult moment in your life was preparing you for something greater. Every time you were rejected, every time you were overlooked, every time you felt like you weren't enough. What if those moments weren't signs of failure, but redirections? What if life wasn't saying no to you, but instead saying, not yet, not this. There's something better. But here's the thing about better. You can't see it when you're drowning in doubt. You can't recognize it when you're fixated on what didn't work out. You can't reach for it when your hands are too busy holding on to past disappointments. So what do? You let go. You let go of the need to control every step of the journey. You let go of the belief that if something isn't happening right now, it never will. Because some of the best things in life don't arrive on schedule. Some of the most incredible transformations happen in the moments where everything seems to be falling apart. And some of the most powerful growth comes from the seasons that feel the most painful. So don't rush through this. Don't try to skip the chapter where you are still learning. Because this space between where you are and where you want to be is where you are becoming the person who can handle what you're asking for. Think about it. If everything you wanted showed up today, right now, would you be ready? Would you have the strength to carry it, the wisdom to sustain it, the resilience to protect it? Or would you crumble under the weight of it? See, the universe isn't denying you your dreams. It's preparing you to hold them. It's making sure that when your moment comes, you don't just experience success for a second, you own it. You keep it, you thrive in it. But for that to happen, you have to build the foundation. And that foundation, it's built in the waiting. It's built in the struggle. It's built in the moments when you want to quit but choose not to. Because every time you decide to keep going, you are proving to yourself that you are stronger than the doubt, that you are bigger than the fear, that you are more powerful than the voice that whispers, maybe this isn't for me. 'Cause it is for you. It's always been for you. But nothing worth having comes easily. And nothing truly powerful happens overnight. So trust that the time you are spending here in this space of uncertainty is not wasted. It is working. It is shaping you. And one day, when you finally step into everything that's meant for you, you'll understand why you had to wait, why you had to struggle, why you had to go through the things that didn't make sense at the time. And you'll be grateful. Grateful that you didn't give up. Grateful that you didn't settle for something less just because it came faster. Grateful that you trusted yourself enough to wait for the right thing, because it is coming. And when it does, you'll be ready. So keep going. Keep believing. Keep moving forward. Because your story isn't over. It's just getting started.